Hello, beautiful Facebook fam. I feel the wrong way. I know you. You're tapping buttons, do all that very, very good stuff. Because we do not like to do what's called conscious and unconscious misalignment. We don't like to behave consciously in ways that misalign with our unconscious conditioning. And we all know this is true. We've had all these experiences. Hey, Regan, nice to see you. We've all had this experience. We say we want something, but then our behavior says another. We say we want these new goals, but then our behavior does the same old stuff. We think about, dream about, fantasize about, imagine how things could be, and then we find ourselves 3 months later, 6 months later, a year later doing the same thing in our relationship, in our family, in our businesses, in our profession, in our health, in our well-being, in our sense of self. So I'm here to annoy you, because what it takes for people who are living every single day is every single day about pursuing and getting better and getting better, resolve those future goals. And you know, the things that we are not working, that we're uncomfortable with, that are cause us pain, that annoy us, that hurt us, that make us frustrated, make us feel empty, tired, disappointed, dissatisfied, feel like we can't rely on people, feel like we can't trust people, feel like we can't really change, feel like we can't really go beyond our normal conditioning. That is the rest of us. And that's because we consciously want certain things, but then our unconscious patterning, conditioning, values, belief systems, sense of who we are goes, oh, I don't know. That's a bit uncomfortable. I don't like that. I'll just keep you here. I'll keep you small. And that misalignment has to get very, very, very strong. The tension and the friction has to get so strong for us to initiate change, which is, you know, essentially a whole bunch of the lessons that I got to learn. Really fortunately, about 15 years ago, I got to learn a whole bunch of lessons about how to deliberately do unconscious change instead of having it be that when the time is right, when the circumstances. I just finished an amazing discussion with a really successful business owner in Perth, and he is still making decisions based on circumstances. He's still waiting for the timing to be right for him to do what he wants to do with himself, with his family, with his life. He's still waiting for things to line up. And this is a very highly effective person, which is why I say it's only a really, really, really small percentage of human beings that are living life based on future goals and intentions versus their unconscious conditioning from their past. So have to say this today. I have to say, if you are like, hi to the people joining, thanks for dropping in. I have to say, if you are in that thing where you're like, you're feeling any disappointment, any emptiness, any frustration, any kind of looping the same shit, different day stuff, or where you go, I get to a certain level, like as a leader or as an individual with my relationships or with my health, and then it keeps getting leveled back, water keeps going back to finding its own level. That's because there's not enough friction that you've been building between your conscious and your unconscious. And the simplest place to start is to write down a whole list about how upset you are about it. Because we spend a lot of our days compartmentalizing and minimizing how much it could potentially upset us. And until you build that friction, until you let yourself roll around in it and get upset by it and get sick of it, get so pissed off with it, get annoyed, get like, fuck this, I'm not dealing with this anymore, until you let that friction build up, there is no significant motivation for your unconscious. So your conscious can keep being like, aspiration, I want this, and I can see that as a potential future. I think that's exciting. That would be amazing. But your unconscious will be like, meh, I'm sitting on the couch eating potato chips. You know, so you have to build that initial tension. And we like to look at it like the job of sustainable change, because we all know that we've done knee-jerk change when we had strong friction and strong emotional tension. But then often we go, oh, but it only took action for a short while. Okay. And that's because the backup to that second stage didn't get taken care of. So we don't get that sustainable change. So that's where you use friction and tension to get that initial momentum and motivation to get you off your ass. And then you have to ensure that your values and your beliefs and your intentions then get aligned with those conscious future goals. So it's essentially get a whole bunch of negative motivation, which is one of the ways that humans naturally change. So work with your nature, guys. Don't resist who you are. You're a mammal. Just work with it. Build the friction and then do the alignment work. Okay, and you can either do the alignment work in a structure, like working with a coach like me, which means you get the higher probability of success. Things happen a lot faster, things happen a lot more effectively, and you get to really high probability of precision in your results. Or you go, I'm going to go read some additional books, I'm going to go watch some additional videos, I'm going to do online courses. All of that will increase your probability if you're looking in the right areas, okay? But I'm here to say, stop suppressing the discomfort. If you want to change, you're going to have to roll around in it, okay? So, this high-performing person I'm talking to today, them having to confront, I have to look at that. I have to look at that I wait for circumstances to tell me when I get to go after what I want in my life. Oh, my gosh. That's me from my past, guys, and that just breaks my heart, makes me so sad, because we have so much potential especially living in the country that we live in Australia, in terms of we're so well educated, we're so well resourced, we've got great social infrastructure, great support, and we can be here making a massive impact. I know a bunch of us feel guilty and weird about shining and standing out, and who am I to do this? And well, if other people are suffering, then I shouldn't be taking myself on. You taking yourself on helps those people in their suffering learn to grow. So there's just a few, little mental tricks you might be playing with yourself, but I want you to start to build the friction. And friction is just like any good chemical reaction. You want two pieces of wood to set ablaze, you have to set some friction, you have to create some tension. You can catalyze anything you want. You can initiate any change as a business leader, as an individual, out there in your communities, out there in your families, out there in your relationship with yourself. But we have to build the friction. I build the friction with people by doing what I call a personal leadership assessment, which is where we do a deep dive into you. And we start to pick out the bits that you've been going, oh, that's not such a big deal. That's okay. I'll just kind of put up with that, or I know how to tolerate with that. I can tolerate that. So because I know how to tolerate that, I should continue to tolerate that. Okay. And that's where we look at all the uncomfortable bits, which starts to build this really healthy friction, which will often initiate a whole bunch of momentum and change for you without even doing the work with a coach. And of course, I always recommend doing the work with the coach that made the biggest impact on my life and continues to. And it's what I do, love, live and breathe every day. So this is my thing for you today, is set a fire under yourself. Allow yourself to roll around in the discomfort. The feedback is important. It's the only way your brain will get sufficient tension to change and to give you the future that you deserve. And whatever stories you're telling yourself about you don't deserve it, honey, you got to cut that shit out. You got to cut it out right now, okay? It's part of the process that keeps you minimizing it and ignoring it, okay? And that's all just to avoid temporary emotional discomfort. Fair play. Thank you, brain. Thank you for that. And in avoiding short-term temporary discomfort, we put up with prolonged dissatisfaction. So you can have short-term discomfort but prolonged satisfaction. Let's all start making smart calls about that. Okay, beautiful people. I love you all. I'm going to bang on, keep going, work with my people, support the groups, go for it with all the different beautiful businesses that I am so honored to work in. Thank you. I'll talk to you later. Bye.